treatment of goodwill at the time of retirement or death of a partner.
I was speaking to my lawyer. He told me to inquire about my share of Goodwill. Don't you trust us? Shall we run away with your share of Goodwill? You are the one who is running away from the business. Before running away with my share, you might as well as explain what you are running away with.
Hey, relax both of you. Cuddle, let me explain to you about goodwill. As you must be aware, goodwill is the value of the reputation of a firm with respect to the profit earned in the future over and above the normal profit. It may also be defined as the present value of the capacity to earn future profits. This means that a firm can be said to have goodwill only if it has capacity to earn profit in future.
Why don't you tell me whether I am entitled to Goodwill or not?
Is the retiring partner entitled to goodwill? The retiring partner is entitled to his or her share of goodwill at the time of retirement because the goodwill is the result of the efforts of all partners, including the retiring one, in the past. The retiring partner is compensated for his or her share of the goodwill. As per Accounting Standard 10, AS 10, goodwill is recorded in the books only when some consideration in money is paid for it. Therefore, goodwill is recorded in the books only when it is purchased, and the goodwill account cannot be raised on its own. The retiring partner's capital account is credited with his or her share of goodwill, and the remaining partner's capital account is debited in their gaining ratio. Which means, when you retire, Cuddle, this is how the journal entry will appear in the book of accounts.
How about giving me a live example?
Lucius, Marcus and Titus, three nobles from ancient Rome, were partners sharing profits equally. Marcus decided to retire and the goodwill of the firm was valued at 60,000. No goodwill account appears in the books of the firm. Lucius and Titus decided to share future profit in the ratio of 3:2. Make the necessary journal entry for goodwill. Let us understand the journal entry. Lucius's capital account debit 16,000 rupees. Titus's capital account debit 4,000 rupees. To Marcus's capital account 20,000 rupees. Marcus's share of goodwill adjusted to remaining partners in their gaining ratio of 4:1. Working notes for the same. If at the time of retirement or death of a partner, goodwill appears in the balance sheet of the firm, it will be written off by debiting all the partners' capital accounts in their existing profit-sharing ratio and crediting the goodwill account. Merlock, Hercules and Sophia are partners running a detective agency. They share profits in the ratio of 3:2:1. Due to ego clashes, Merlock decides to retire. On the date of his retirement, goodwill is valued at 150,000. Goodwill already appears in the books at a value of 90,000. New ratio of Hercules and Sophia is 3:2. Make the necessary journal entries. John, Stephen and Maria started a tennis school. They are partners sharing profits and losses in the ratio of 4:3:2. Due to frequent injuries, Stephen decided to retire and the goodwill is valued at 81,000. John and Maria decided to share future profits and losses in the ratio of 5:3. Record necessary journal entries. A. when goodwill is raised at its full value and written off immediately. B. When goodwill is not to appear in the firm's books at all. A. When goodwill is raised and written off. B. When goodwill is not to appear in the firm's books at all. Working notes are as shown.
Hey Cuddle, here is another example. Amar, Akbar and Anthony started a restaurant. They were partners sharing profits in the ratio of 5:3:2. Akbar retired and Amar and Anthony decided to share profits in the ratio of 2:3. On Akbar's retirement, the goodwill of the firm was valued at rupees 1,50,000. Record necessary journal entry for the treatment of goodwill on Akbar's retirement. Here are the working notes for the same. Tell me what happens when goodwill already appears in the books.
If the value of goodwill already appearing in the books of the firm is the same as the current value of goodwill, no adjustment is normally required because goodwill is credited in the accounts of all the partners, including the retiring one. If the present value of goodwill is different from its book value, an adjustment entry is required for the difference between the value already appearing in the books, called book value, and its present value. In such a situation, there are two possibilities. Situation 1. The book value is lower than its present value. In this case, the goodwill is raised to its present value by debiting goodwill account with the excess of its current value over the book value and crediting all partners' capital accounts in their old profit-sharing ratio. The journal entries would be as under. Situation 2. The book value is greater than its present value. In this case, the difference between the book value and its present value will be credited to the goodwill account and debited to partners' capital accounts in their old profit-sharing ratio. Dawn, dusk and twilight started a partnership selling time to the residents of Skyland. They shared profits in the ratio of 4:3:3. Twilight decided to retire from the firm and start his own business. On Twilight's retirement, the firm's goodwill has been valued at 50,000. A goodwill account already existed in the books of the firm with a value of 75,000 rupees. Record the necessary journal entries. Can you tell me the journal entries, Cuddle? Remember, in all the above situations, goodwill appears at its full value in the balance sheet. If the partners decide to write off goodwill wholly or partially, it can be done by debiting the remaining partners' capital accounts in the new profit-sharing ratio and crediting goodwill account with the respective value. Alternatively, instead of first raising goodwill to its full value and then writing it off, if the partners so decide, they may first write off the existing goodwill as it appears in the book by debiting all partners in the old profit-sharing ratio, and then credit the retiring or deceased partner by debiting the remaining partners' capital accounts in their gaining ratio and crediting the retired or deceased partner by his share of goodwill.
What if you guys hide goodwill? Will I be entitled to any share? Oh, he means hidden goodwill.
If the value of goodwill is not given, it has to be inferred on the basis of the net worth of business. Hidden goodwill is the excess of desired total capital of the firm over the actual combined capital of all partners. In other words, the hidden goodwill refers to the difference between the total required capital and the actual capital. In case of retirement of a partner, if the firm has agreed to settle the retiring or deceased partner by paying him a lump sum amount, then the amount paid to him in excess of what is due to him based on the balance in his capital account after making necessary adjustments in respect of accumulated profits and losses and revaluation of assets and liabilities, etc., shall be treated as his share of goodwill, known as hidden goodwill. Agatha, Elizabeth and Peter, three playwrights, started a partnership selling plays. They share profits in the ratio of 3:2:1. On account of copyright issues, Peter retires. The balance in his capital account after making the necessary adjustments on account of reserves, revaluation of assets and liabilities is calculated at 84,000 rupees. However, Agatha and Elizabeth agreed to pay him 108,000 rupees in full settlement of his claim. Kindly pass the necessary journal entries. Here, even though the amount actually due to Peter is 84,000 rupees, he is paid 108,000 rupees. This extra amount paid to him, 108,000 minus 84,000, 24,000 rupees, represents the goodwill due to him. This will be debited to the capital accounts of Agatha and Elizabeth in their gaining ratio, 3:2, assuming no change in their own profit-sharing ratio, and crediting Peter's capital account. So that explains the treatment of goodwill at the time of retirement. You can tell your lawyer friend that we have explained everything to you.
If you wish, we'll give you notes so that you forget nothing that we have told you.
See that he does not charge you extra, saying that it is his share of goodwill.